Welcome, dear friends, to Cardiac Radio at 11 p.m., nourishing our souls with the spirit of truth, Spiritist Practitioner Edition. This is the final message of this edition and the whole book. It's been 104 days, believe it or not. We've been together studying this for 104 days. Thanks to the loving spirits who came through Chico, Xavier, and Waldo Vieira, who were faithful 60 years ago in bringing to us these messages that nourish our souls for immortality. The messages we're reading here and studying together, they never become outdated. They belong to the laws of life. We're talking about immortal learning, something that we will carry for immortality. When you and I are here spending this time together, we're investing in our millennial goals, in our immortality. It will strengthen us today, tomorrow, and forever. It will give us guidance, the north, forever. And we're very thankful to a particular translator. I'm not going to say the name, but we're going to vibrate to this translator who worked on the behind the scenes and helped us bring this book to life. Work that nobody sees, but it's so important. Giving you and I an opportunity to sit down, meditate, think about where we need to trim ourselves to be better people. Thanks to this effort, all the spirits, the mediums, and the medium who brought this into the English language. And today, we're going to crown this work that was all organized by the good spirits with the message of all messages about love. It comes with Andre Luiz, the spirit doctor who learned that the law of life is the law of love. He was inspired in a particular item of the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 11, which is titled, Love Your Neighbor as Yourself, and item 10, which has many spirit messages, including the one in item 10 by Samson, who was a member of the Parisian Spiritist Society, and comes to us in a long message, but to say to us, to Spiritists, my dear co-disciples, the spirits present here tell you through my voice, love much so that you may be loved. This thought is so truthful that in it you will find everything that consoles and assuages the hardships of each day. And he says, now that the Spiritist movement has taken such a big step, you can see how quickly the ideas of justice and renewal contained in the Spirit's dictations are being accepted by the average intellectual world. He goes on and concludes, the grand concept of renewal through Spiritism, described so well in the Spirit's book, will produce the great miracle of all times, to unite all of humankind, material and spiritual interests, through the full understanding of this maxim, love much, so that you may be loved. This message we're going to read by Andre Luiz is a message for any and every individual. But if you are a Spiritist worker or you want to be a Spiritist practitioner, it's inevitable that you and I focus on the main source that sustains our work. What sustains the work? Ask Chico Xavier. He's going to say, love. de Waldo Franco, love. You ask anyone who is really faithful to the works, no matter the hardships, they're going to say love. And then we ask, how so? Many people stop their work as Spiritist workers because they didn't learn to love God, themselves, or others. Only love sustains us through this journey. So let us know, what is this hymn of exaltation to love that is written by Luiz? Believe it or not, dear friends, this message in the book, The Spirit of Truth, is in chapter 78. It's not the last message. But the mentors at Kardec Radio wanted it to be last because they say this is the crowning for anybody who wants to be useful in society. It talks about the highest level of love, altruism, to think of other people's needs before ours. We usually do the reverse, or not even the reverse, just think of ourselves. When we are selfish, we're constricting love. Think about, before we read this message, God, and I say this figuratively because God is everywhere. There's no north, south, high and low, sides. No, everywhere. God has this envelopment of us. It's as if we're fish enveloped by God's love. That's how it is. So when we are selfish, think about an umbilical cord flowing God's love through us. When we're selfish, we are not allowing to flow. When we are egotistic, proud, we're not allowing it to flow. Let it flow. Allow others to shine, not only ourselves. Let's be happy that people are shining, that they are beautiful and bright and wonderful. Because at the end of the day, we're all interconnected. When I'm able to admire this in others, supporting others, I am allowing the love of God to flow through us. And as a Spiritist practitioner, if we don't learn that, we cannot be useful. Want to read it? It's a long message, but it's a must, right? You deserve to know the precise words of Luiz. I've never seen Luiz writing a single chapter this much in any other book that wasn't his. Usually he is very concise, but if he decided and was allowed to bring the length of it, it's because we need it. Are you ready? Because the food today is concentrated, all right? He's going to ask a question to you and I. We're going to chop in 3 parts just to make sure we chew on it step by step. He begins with an analogy, the title, in the exaltation of love. And he says, the withered leaf that falls anonymously from the stalk of the tree on which it was born is surely the symbol of the hidden power of God in nature. Power, that is strength, life, and love. Who collected the leaf that fell? The sun? No. The wind? No. Human beings? No. The leaf falls by itself according to the pre-established principles by the general laws of the universe to the fertile bosom of earth that transforms the leaf into a new element, into the laboratory of incessant renovation. In the same way, also move the creatures and destinations. And we kept the word creatures here because he's talking about creation. Okay? Everything that was created by God. The leaf falls, the worlds progress, humanity evolves. The sun shines naturally, keeping the planetary family in the domains of the cosmic house. The wind advances effortlessly, nurturing the euphoria of plants. In principles of sovereign spontaneity, humanity builds its own existence. Pause. He is bringing nature, just like Jesus used to do, analogies, to make us feel that we're nature too. And everything that happens to us is under the laws of God. The pandemic is being presided by God. God knows everything we're going through. Mother Mary, when she saw her son perfect, loving, being crucified, what did give her strength not to go crazy, not to go mad, not to despair, not to give up on life or to feel depressed? None of us have ever heard Mother Mary being depressed. How come? She surrendered to God. She thought, well, who says this? Brother X Humberto de Campos, the spirit author, in the book Good News that we studied here at Kardec Radio 5 years ago. You can still find the study in our platforms, YouTube, Facebook, SoundCloud. And Humberto de Campos describes that deep inside she couldn't understand the outcome of such a beautiful legacy. But she was surrounded by good spirits reminding her, remember, everything is presided by God. Be the servant of God. And she thought she had a rational faith. If God created us, loved us, brought the Messiah, this my son, and this is happening, God is allowing, there must be a reason. Of course, it wasn't easy. She cried. But she resigned herself before the divine will. Where are we on this? We're not like that. We enter a Spiritist center and we think, I know how to administer our Spiritist center because I've been in Brazil, in other Spiritist centers. I know what's good for us, and I don't respect sometimes the administration because we think that we would do better, but we don't, right? Because if we were doing better, we would form a center and do better, but we don't. We have this illusion that we're going to do. We would do much better if we were coordinating it. And then we start creating problems because we don't respect God's presiding over it. If God brought you there, respect the place. There are pre-established principles presiding all of our lives. We need to seek the good. He's going to tell more about this. We'll keep to the end. We'll leave it for last. Now back to the message. He says, knowing is not everything. You see? Oh, I know it. No, we don't. It's not everything to know. Only love can sum up the glory of life. Let's mark it down. Only love can sum up the glory of life. Those who live, breathe. Those who work, progress. Those who know, perceive. Whomever loves, breathes, progresses, perceives, understands, serves, sublimates, spreading happiness. To know is not enough. We need to love. I enter a Spiritist center. I participate in a team. I need to learn to love. But to love those people means I will help the progress of everybody. I will serve. I will forget about myself. I will spread joy and sometimes in silence, in respect, following without the need to outstand the crowd. Only love can sum up the glory of life. So follow your pathway, praising the good, forgetting evil, and edifying without stop. So the recommendation is do what you gotta do, but worship the good because the good comes from God. So come on, get in. You don't pay a penny, right? You may donate, but you don't pay a penny for anybody who is working in there because we're all volunteers, like here at Cardiac Radio. Let's praise the good for God's sakes. Forget evil. If you praise the good, you won't be paying attention to evil. Some people ask me, how do I forget evil? Focus on the good. You don't forget evil by looking at it. You focus on the good. It's a choice. It depends on our will. And build without stop. There are people who say, yeah, I used to be a medium in a center. I used to do this, that, and that. But what about now? Because used to doesn't exist. What about now? But the center that I found doesn't have this, that, and the other. Well, where's humility here? When we think we know so much that we're above even the centers we encounter. Let's humble ourselves and say, thank God I have this center. I need to share something. Since I was a child, raised in a Spiritist family, coming from fifth generation Spiritists, yes, my great grandfather with family and others founded a center that still exists, thank God. And generations of the family. I've seen many of them closer to me in this life, working on it and saying, respect always every center you enter. Don't be arrogant, ever thinking that you know better. So my parents, my grandparents, uncles always reinforce this, praising the good. Every center I visit in Brazil, around the world, I say, oh, it's a nucleus of light. And if I have to be there and I don't agree, I still praise it. I think it's good. It's good. It's helping people. When I see people who badmouth the center, who badmouth Spiritist directors, workers, it's just obsession, friends. I know none of us are perfect, but if you have time to badmouth somebody, you're not doing your share. You're not doing good work. If I have time to badmouth somebody, that time that I could use to do the good, I'm not using. So what am I doing? Evil. Evil. What others are doing, I have no idea. But Vanessa, in that center, they do this. I don't know. I don't need to know. But they study this. Well, is it making people grow? Great. But no, but I'm not a judge. That's not why. Jesus is our guide and model. Never taught us to inspect other people's works. Jesus was never an inspector of anybody's works. So who are you and who am I to inspect? I don't know. I don't need to know. I need to know what I do. If people tell me, I say, if you don't agree, do better. Oh, I want to leave the center. You can't leave the center and go nowhere. You have to do something. Because the obsessors are good in derailing us. So here we come to the next part. If the path is rough and somber, proceed without fear. He says, don't give up, you see. Remember that ahead, at the vanguard, there is ampler place for your hope. Seek to hear the message of love wherever you go. Study with love. Respond to the imperatives of evolution, loving wherever you are. Attend to others, loving them with joy. You'll be satisfied in everything. You'll be satisfied in everything, loving always. So when we see people who are not satisfied, they lack love. In the ascendant march to the divine kingdom, love is the real road. The other routes are called experiences that the eternal wisdom still for love traced to the great journey of the soul so that human spirit is not lost. Before you, love already existed. After you, love will continue to exist. This is because God, love is God in everything. Mark it down. Love is God in everything. So live life, loving it to understand it. To live and to love and to understand and to live abundantly. Angles of soul truth, eternal life. But to live without loving is to breathe without dignified work. To want with exclusivism is to contemplate situations and circumstances that will generate illness and death. Therefore, if you know what it is to live, why don't you live? Only the one who loves really lives. Only those who act for the good of all love effectively. Undoubtedly, only those who understand that love is the basis of life itself act for the good of all. Outside of this truth, there's also a movement and action of shadow that will fatally return to light in determined circles of tears, trial, and martyrdom. Nothing new, always the law, which works with compassion, restoring the right harvest to each sowing. Commend the vessel of your destination. Do not assign to others the mistakes that your hands may commit. Be responsible, he's saying. The journey depends on you. Instruct yourself without trying to cover it up before your own conscience. Do not rely on the flavor of invigilance, so that invigilance does not drag your existence into the flavor of suffering. Before us, the universe was the sanctuary of divine glory. Then, let us remember that God created us to add to his greatness. Let us not diminish his splendor by cultivating darkness. We will deceive the form, will never deceive the life that beats triumph in ourselves. Learn to seek what you need for your own improvement before somebody teaches you at the price of distress. Strength is power, idea is strength, but only love conditions the power for the victory of light. Love the pathway, walk and win. Smile at the toughest moments on the road. Do not accept, do not stop except to catch your tormented breath. Beyond, there is the road of destination. Do not listen to the murmur of the shadows. That we will end up anesthetized. Fraternity will be a sentinel angel in the swamp of bitterness. Sing the poem of charity wherever there are siblings in creation. Even when handcuffed to crime, they will answer to you with refrains of love. Keep compassion and peace will be a sweet reward. Exemplify faith. Start your morning every day. These are the last sentences. Start your morning every day serving others that you're responsible for. And the duty rightly fulfilled will keep you invariably in the bright morning of life. Before supporting yourself, support those who long for the crumb of your protection. Before our will, there is the will of the Lord. Before the good for us, the needed good for others. May justice be for you, the one who observes and corrects, and for others, the journey, the kindness that helps and absolve always, indulgence. Above all, keep the certainty that love is framed in humility that never hurts. Put yourself last, and life will take care of your own defense anywhere. Even with sacrifice, under the rain of gall and screams of slander, render your worship of love daily. And love in your own life will shine in your soul, converting it into a star for the glory without end. I know the message was long, but we needed it. Andre Luiz talks about the true concept of altruism. We're not used to that. He says, before your good, put the needs of others. We don't do this. Sometimes we have a friend who lives far away, and we don't think of that person who is far away, who may need our help because we're so busy with our lives. I'm not going to stop to go there and visit this person. I'm not going to stop to invite this person to spend time in my house because I'm so busy. No wonder. And sometimes we have these circumstances right in our Spiritist center. See how selfish we are? And then we want to sit at a mediumistic meeting and help others, but we don't help the ones whom we see. How are we going to love the spirits we don't see? Criminals, obsessors, mentally ill spirits, if we don't love the very members of the group in our center? We go home, think about ourselves. Think about your Spiritist family. We teach it to Virginia. Virginia, our true family is everyone. The Spiritist family is our family, is equal to our blood family, or even more. because we are working together to do the good. But do we have compassion, thinking of somebody who is alone in our team? Do we call them to say a prayer? No. Where's fraternity? We get together to help the homeless, but do we help one another? Do you send messages of encouragement or checking on the members of your community? Do you pray for them? He says here, sing the poem of charity, and we'll hear the answer in refrains of love. Feeling lonely? We're not loving. Because when we love, we're never lonely. Never, because we're connected. If we're lonely, downcast, melancholic, it's because we're not loving. We're longing to be loved, childishness. It's the inner child in us that is not loved and is crying to be loved. But we need to love that inner child in us. Luiz, if you go to Google, there is a wonderful track, Healing. Luiz, Healing. She teaches us how to heal that inner child. We need to do it as adults. We can no longer expect people to love us, but we must love. It's law. I pray, let's say, to love is to pray for one another. People don't need to know because sometimes we're so egotistic. Oh, I prayed for you the whole night. If you love, you don't say, oh, I love. You know, I'm just saying I love you. But you're not saying because you want to. It says if you're saying I love you, meaning you need to love me back. How childish. We're still so sick. We need to start the morning serving, supporting others, doing the good to others, keeping our humility. Don't tell people and humiliate them, hurt them saying what you're doing, just help. But they won't know, it doesn't matter. So today, friends, we're being invited to put ourselves last. And life will take care of your own defense anywhere. Do you believe in that? How about practicing 24 hours in two realms, even when you go to sleep? Forget about yourself. Go to sleep saying, God, you know what I go through, but I would like to sleep and be helpful to others. Please use me. I trust you. Wake up. God, I will fulfill my duties, but let me help everyone you bring my way. Pray for the people. Wish them well. Like Mentor Joseph used to say, when Virginia was younger, we would go to school, drive to school, and we were singing to the other drivers. They didn't know. We were saying, because you are love and you are light and you are joy of living. We would say in Portuguese or in English. Você é luz, você é paz, você é alegria de viver. And that was almost like a game. We would point to a car and say, let's pray for that one. Because you are love and you are light and you are joy of living. So think of the people in your Spiritist Center and in your mind sing for them. Because you are love and you are light and you are joy of living. forgive me. So practice putting ourselves last, and life will take care of us and be our defense anywhere. After all, Andre Luiz is reminding us that only the one who loves really lives, and love is God in everything. Love is God in everything. Everywhere we're safe because God is there. So let us sing the song of love in action, charity, in the next 24 hours. And we hope to see you tomorrow. What's going to happen next? You see. We're talking about love. There is a book, Laws of Love. We're going to relate to you the first translation of the book, Laws of Love, Leis de Amor, questions and answers addressed by Emmanuel through Chico Xavier. That's going to come next. Since we're talking about love, love it is. We are going to think of you, all of you, and say, because you are love, and you are peace or light, and you are joy of living. Love is God in everything. So let us love and bring God everywhere we are. Thank you, friends, for being with us in this journey of the Spirit of Truth. In the name of love, which is God in everything, we're going to exalt this love by putting ourselves last, thinking of others. Thank you, friends. Let us continue this journey, following our path, praising the good, forgetting evil, and building the good without stop. Thank you, friends.